Hello and welcome to our special edition of Morocco World News DigiTalk series here at GITEX Africa 2025. Today we have an amazing guest here with us, Marissa Scott, who is our U.S. Consul General. Marissa, it's so good to have you on the series.
I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So tell me a little bit first, what has it been like for you at GITEX Africa? I know that you came yesterday. What has it been like for you? What's the experience like?
So I think in any event that you go to where technology is the key and it's the factor and there's a startup environment, there's entrepreneurship here and there's companies here, there's always a vibe. There's always an energy. So the first thing you feel when you're coming in is this energy and this energy of connection. I mean, that's why we're here. We want to be able to feed off that energy. We want to help companies have a little bit of that energy and know that the U.S. government is here to support that and support the synergy of those efforts.
Amazing. I mean, there's a huge American representation here, over around 60 tech companies.
Over 60 companies that are represented here.
Yeah.
So we've been busy.
Of course you have. Of course you have.
Yeah, we've been going around trying to meet a lot of these companies and find out where the pain points are and how we as the U.S. government can assist in really promoting American technology.
Yeah, of course. So going off of that, I want to talk a little bit about how basically the U.S. presence and how they are helping Morocco grow as a digital hub. I know recently U.S. Charge d'Affaires Amy Petrona talked about how there is basically Morocco has turned into a digital hub for Africa. Yeah. And often in that way we often talk about how the U.S. it's not just having U.S. companies here, but how can they collab with Moroccan companies to really spread Morocco's, not only Moroccan digitalization, but throughout Africa as well?
No, that's a wonderful question. So, as a representative of the U.S. government and working with the bilateral relationship between Morocco and the United States, I really focus on that bilateral part. But what I can tell you is that we know that tech in Africa is huge. And companies that are starting to come in and see this and see Morocco as a gateway to a real opportunity in sub-Saharan Africa, those companies are exceeding and those companies are excelling. So we want to be able to facilitate the process and to sort of be, dare I say, a matchmaker.
Yeah, of course.
A matchmaker in where we know that there's a need that's been presented to us by the Moroccan government, a need that's been presented to us by a U.S. company. We really want to be able to make that marriage happen and to make it work and to make sure that the choices are there and the American choices are available.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there is a need. Of course, you put it eloquently, as you always do. So along those lines, where do you see our areas for growth? So, when we think America tech, we think Silicon Valley. If Morocco is truly on this path to become the next emerging Silicon Valley of Africa, where have you seen in your experience in Morocco and seeing Moroccan businesses, U.S. businesses, as areas where the two can collab to really bring Morocco to the forefront?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't speak into the hypotheticals.
Of course you don't.
But what I can say is that where we are actually seeing work and collaboration happen now, obviously in the tech sector, in sectors where there's a social impact, it's part of it, and that's a lot of things that Africa wants to see on the continent. We want to see progress, we want to see tech, but we want to also see the people being able to grow. So in the area of technology, that may include education, more access to digital products, being able to close in the digital divide that we've seen in many countries on the continent. For Morocco, the win is having access to this bulging youth population on the continent.
Huge.
You and I both know that we're looking at 75% young people between the ages of 15 and 35 on the continent. There's no other place on the planet that's like that. So to be able to grow, you're going to have to tap into the African market. That's clear. And Morocco has been able to do that. The U.S. companies, where we bring the expertise, is in the tech field. Nobody does it better than we do. So we want to be able to share that. And part of our job as the American government is to make sure that people understand the African narrative. This is not the narrative of 30 years ago. It has changed significantly. Unfortunately, there's a lot of companies that are basing their decisions on a narrative that's completely outdated. part of our job is to ensure that the narrative that is correct, the narrative that is now, is the one that's being used for Africa.
I love that, the narrative that is now. Because this entire weekend, I mean, that's everything that people have been talking about.
Exactly.
Is the now, not what Africa was seen in the tech hub before, but in the future and what is now.
Exactly.
So I love re-emerging the conversations, reorienting the conversations.
Absolutely.
So my final question to you is, this weekend, were there any surprises for you? I mean, were there tech companies, emerging sectors that you saw, wow, I never really thought about this before, but this could be a great opportunity for collaboration with U.S. tech companies?
Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. I wish that I could have been a fly on the wall and I could have heard all the speakers, the startup conversations, because you get a little bit of something out of every one of the conversations, even the side conversations and the side events that have been happening. So if I hear something from one company that says, oh, we didn't know you were here and we didn't know you could do that, it surprises me, but I also think that I failed in some kind of way. So if companies don't know that they can come and reach out to us and get information on doing business in Morocco, then there's something more that we need to do, whether that's outreach, whether that's opening our doors and being able to invite companies to come and tell us what their needs are. But the biggest surprise are the young people. Seeing the young entrepreneurs here, seeing how people are making their pitches and being totally blown away by what's being done here on the continent. And I don't want people to wait. I don't want people to wait. No time is ever perfect to do anything. You just have to jump in. But you can jump in a smart way.
Yeah, of course.
And that means doing your homework, doing your due diligence, but it also means understanding what's happening here on the ground, understanding that there needs to be some kind of impact to the work that you're doing, and understanding that there are going to be challenges and being able to work with those challenges. The last thing I would say is, it's important in anything any company wants to do is to really design the alliance that they're looking for. And you're looking for a partner who you can share. People support what they themselves create. If they are part of the process, they're going to advocate for it and they're going to support it. And so if you come and work with them hand in hand, and that's what we're doing in Morocco. That's what we want to see. We want to see that partnership. We want to see that alliance, and we know that we'll see growth.
We do know that. So thank you so much, Marissa. It was so good to have you on.
This was a lot of fun.
Hopefully more of many.
We have to do it again.
Of course we do. So that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will stay tuned for the next DigiTalk with GITEX Africa 2025. Bye-bye.